I spent a week in Italy, splitting my time between admiring the historical architecture and hiking in the Dolomites. This is how I made my 8-day itinerary for Italy. Day 1 was a bit rough. My flight left the US Friday afternoon and landed at 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. But, not being one to waste a vacation day, I spent it exploring Pompeii. This was a great first taste of history and was really interesting to explore, even though it was quite hot in July. While exploring, I found an Italian wall lizard. I also visited Naples underground, but unfortunately you aren't allowed to take videos, only photos. Day 2 was for exploring Rome. I found the best way to get around was one of the hop-on, hop-off buses, as I could pay one price and use it as much as I wanted, and it stopped either at or close enough to many places I was interested in seeing. The first stop of today was Largo di Torre, Argetina, which is a small square of ancient ruins that is home to a cat sanctuary. Unfortunately, I only saw one cat. I'm guessing most were sheltering from the heat.
Really cold.
I spent most of the afternoon touring Castel Sant'Angelo, which I found very interesting. Day 3 was mostly spent at the Roman Forum and Colosseum. The Roman Forum was quite large and had a lot to see. The Colosseum is probably what most people come to Rome to see, and it was certainly interesting. I think my favorite part was seeing what it looked like underneath what would have been the floor. I have a really hard time imagining wanting to watch someone be killed, but the architecture was really cool.
Andiamo dentro.
You know, the line is very long from the front. If you want, we can... No, you're okay. Yeah, we're in the hotel right now. Okay.
Day 4, I took the train to Florence, and trains is actually how I did all of my travel between major cities. In Florence, I visited the Galileo Museum. I thought it was really cool to see all these old globes and books. From Florence, I took a bit of a day trip to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa and surrounding Piazz del Duomo. Day 5 was for traveling to the Dolomites, which were definitely my favorite part of the trip. Most of the day was spent traveling and picking up the rental car, but I did stop at the Messner Mountain Museum in Bolzano, which had some very cool rocks. Day 6 was my first hiking day, and I chose to combine two classics, Cadini di Misurina and Cime di Lavaredo. And I actually made a whole separate video on this hike that will be linked below if you'd like to see more. Cadini di Misurina featured amazing views and a ton of wildflowers, and Cime di Lavaredo also had amazing views and some opportunities for some short scrambles that help you get away from the crowds. Day 7 was another hiking day. I chose to do Col della Puina, which also has its own video. It starts off as a relatively mild incline that gets steeper as you approach the summit. There are two different options to get to the summit, so you can choose how adventurous you'd like to be. In my opinion, the views from the summit were just as good as the ones yesterday, but this trail is significantly less crowded. Day 8, I managed to squeeze in a half hiking day to do Seceda Ridge. I chose to take the cable car up to the top. Unfortunately, it was quite foggy the day I was here. After finishing this short hike, I headed to Milan, where I had a flight to Switzerland. If I do ever make it back to Italy, I will definitely be spending more time in the Dolomites. I barely scratched the surface here. There's so much more to see and do. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can check out my membership and merch options on Fourth Wall. And don't forget to be always adventuring.